It's Bullseye. I'm Jesse Thorn. A heads up that there is a little bit of bleeped swearing and talk about sex in this next interview. Allison Janney says that when she was in her 20s, she was always getting cast as a 40-year-old. And it makes sense because she's a kind of elegant woman. And in fact, she was about 40 when she got the role that made her career as the press secretary C.J. Craig on The West Wing. Janney won 4 Emmys for the part, which let her stretch her gifts. She was by turns sharp and warm, maternal and sexy. When we talked in 2014, she was starring on 2 TV shows, Showtime's Masters of Sex and CBS's Mom. Mom is wrapping up its 5th season now. She's just been nominated for her first Academy Award ever for her role in I, Tonya, the Tonya Harding biopic. She plays LaVonna Faye Golden, mother to Tonya Harding. In this scene, Tonya, played by Margot Robbie, confronts LaVonna in the diner where she works.
When I was a kid, did you ever love me or anything?
You think Sonia Henny's mother loved her? Poor you. I didn't stay home making apple brown betties. No, I made you a champion. Knowing you'd hate me for it. That's the sacrifice a mother makes. I wish I'd had a mother like me instead of nice. Nice gets you I didn't like my mother either. So what? I gave you a gift.
You cursed me. You're a monster.
Spilled milk, baby.
Allison, welcome to Bullseye. It's great to have you on the show.
Thanks, Jesse. I'm happy to be here.
I want to ask you a little bit about the beginning of your career. There's not a lot of actors and actresses out there who can say that they were discovered in college by Paul Newman. That's a pretty
cool.
rock-solid origin story.
Yeah, it's a very cool beginnings of a career story.
How did it happen?
Well, I went to Kenyon College, which is where Paul Newman graduated, and they built a beautiful new theater there called the Bolton Theater, and to christen it, they invited Paul to come and direct the first play that would be produced in the theater. And that happened to be my freshman year. And, of course, everybody was auditioning for it. Didn't matter if you were interested in the theater at all. Everyone wanted to be in something that Paul Newman directed. So there was a lot of competition for that. But and they had people audition by just coming up on stage and talking to Paul for, like, a minute. Or you had, you got a minute and that was it. And you could get off. And I decided I would appeal to his love of driving cars. So I bragged about how in my Scirocco I could drive from Dayton, Ohio to Gambier, Ohio in 1 hour and 32 minutes if I took Route 22. I made up some, of course I really didn't drive that fast, but I kind of lied a little bit and made the story sound very exciting. And I was like, and that's how I got to Kenyon, And I'm sure that had nothing to do with why I got it. I probably just looked the part. I was, it was supposed to be a bunch of ragtag chorus girls, and there I was, 6 feet tall, and I probably got cast in that because of my height and my ridiculous physicality next to the other chorus girls. And I've always thought I looked otherworldly, or 1940. I could easily be from that era.
I heard he gave you like a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Yeah, he said if you ever need a favor in this business, he said it has to be very specific, but I will do it for you. And I was just so honored and thrilled that he said that to me. It was like a Valium in my back pocket, but I never asked him for it because I could never think of the right one. But just knowing I had it made me feel, more confident, and I was really honored that he said that to me. But I didn't take advantage of it.
When you got the script for Masters of Sex, was it already called Masters of Sex?
Yes, the show name had already been determined. I did not know. I knew at that point they wanted me to come on board. They had a character in mind. They hadn't written it yet, but she was going to be the wife of the provost, played by Beau Bridges, something I was actually a little afraid to take on. And also when they suggested or, said there would be nudity more than likely, and I'd have to do a sex scene. And I was like, well, let's talk about that, because I'm not sure that people really are going to want to see that, and they said, listen, it's going to be, you are going to have to be completely comfortable with it, and we will not do anything that you're not comfortable with. And I think had I not started on a crazy Pilates workout, not eating bread, pasta routine, not even knowing that this was going to come my way, I might not have, I don't know what I would have said, but fortunately I was in pretty good shape for me, the best I'd been in a long time. So I thought, well, all right, I'm not going to be afraid. Let's do it. And then I got the first script, and it was just, and every script thereafter was just, I really looked forward to playing this character because of all the different layers that were going on with her, and it was one of the most rewarding I've played in a long time.
It's so poignant to see this woman in middle age try and come to terms with stuff that people usually are called upon to come to terms with when they're 16. She has to get to know her sexuality, and she has to realize what a relationship with someone is.
Margaret
or
Scully,
could be, yeah.
all through this, the unraveling of someone's life and what they thought it was, and everything, the rug is just pulled out from under her, and as she slowly goes down this journey, and here is it's this silent taking in of information at the mahjong games with the girlfriends, and hearing about the sex study, and hearing about what sex feels like, and gosh, I don't feel that way, and trying to have my husband want me, and he doesn't, and then getting, and then falling into an affair. I love my mother so much, but I just thought about her being, about that age, and she was 20 in the 50s, I think she had just married my father in 1956 or 57, and then started having there were 3 kids, an older brother, me, and my younger brother. I just thought of her finding this stuff out, and my mother, such a gracious woman, and so polite, and so concerned with manners, and I just imagined her going into master's office and going through that sex study, intake questionnaire thing, and it just became very easy for me to play her. She was definitely more like me than the character on Mom.
When you agreed to do Mom, was it a part that was created for you, or was it something you had to audition for?
I didn't have to audition. Well, they don't call it that when, but
Did you have
I
to
definitely...
test? Did you have to go to lunch with some people?
I went in just to have a chemistry meet and greet type thing with Anna, and in Chuck's office.
Anna Faris, the other star of the show.
Yes, she and Chuck were the ones who were on board with this, with Mom, and they then called me to come in and meet with them, and I was excited because Chuck and I had tried to work together right after The West Wing. We had a development deal together, and we were trying to think of a show to develop for me, and it didn't end up going, and I was a little disappointed because I really liked working with Chuck, and so I was excited to go in on this one, and I went in, and I was really a big fan of Anna's work, and I'd just seen her in The House Bunny and thought she was hysterical, and really thought, I think we're going to get along fine. I just had a feeling, and we did.
Let's hear a clip from Mom. And so, Allison, your character Bonnie in this scene is explaining to her daughter Christy, who's played by Anna Faris, why she lied to her about her father, who was absent for most of her childhood. And she's in this scene. She's only basically just told her the truth.
I'm about to go over there and hear his side of the story. Are you sure you don't want to tell me yours first?
Fine. I was 16. I was living with my fifth set of foster parents, and I sensed I was losing their support. May have been related to a Trinitron TV that went missing. Anyway, I met your father shortly thereafter. Timing was good. I was between homes. He had a Winnebago.
So it wasn't a one-night stand?
No. We were in love. Lived together 2 years before I got pregnant. Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He was so excited he was going to be a dad. He brought me strawberry milkshakes every day. He made you a crib out of leather. And then you surprised us a couple weeks early at a Blue Oyster Cult concert. My water broke right in the middle of Don't Fear the Reaper.
I never liked that song.
Well, understandable. You were stuck in my pelvis the first time you heard it.
I was watching an episode of Mom earlier today, and the storylines that were happening, I'll see if I can summarize them. Your granddaughter's character is pregnant and looks like she's having the baby, but she's giving it up for adoption. Your character's ex-husband has just reappeared for the first time in forever in his daughter and granddaughter's life. It's prom, and your character's granddaughter is trying to decide whether or not she's okay with going to prom pregnant.
Mm-hmm. That sounds familiar.
And and the baseline that's running through all of this is your character and your daughter's character dealing with recovery.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, every 3 seconds is a gut punch joke, like a boom joke. And that's just a lot. It's a really intense viewing experience.
It is. You're right. There is a lot going on, a lot of different levels and emotions and subject matters that aren't necessarily half-hour comedy fare. But I don't know. I guess people seem to like it because we got asked back for season 2, which is fantastic.
What I think is interesting is that I think on a lot of sitcoms that deal with quote-unquote serious topics, there is a sort of modal/tonal switch back and forth. So you get a little bit of, okay, we're going to deal with the topic now through this thoughtful, introspective scene.
Yeah.
And on Mom, at least what I've seen, there are what you call hard jokes about every difficult subject that just go straight for it.
I think that's the only way to do it. Just hit it head on and not get sentimental. Or I think the audience is responding to that. They like that. Dealing with cancer and just Bonnie talking to Marjorie, played by Mimi Kennedy, just straight on, like, well, what are we going to do about the hair? We've got to get you a wig. Got to do that. Just people like, well, I can't believe she's going right there. But we're not afraid to go right there, and I think people like that.
I know Chuck Lorre has a past that informs this desire to want to do work about addiction and recovery. Was that something that you talked to him about when you first went in there to meet with him and Anna Faris, like why he wanted to do this?
I did not ask him why he wanted to. It's a world that I was not afraid to play in. I've had a lot of friends and people close to me who I've tried to help get sober, and I've been to many Al-Anon meetings, many open AA meetings. I've unfortunately had to deal with it a lot, so I feel like everyone these days is dealing with recovery. Everybody, and anything that we can do to destigmatize recovery and addiction is a good thing.
I know that you lost your brother sort of not long after West Wing, a number of years ago now, but not that long ago.
Yeah, 3 years ago.
I wonder, and I know that was also an issue for him.
Oh yeah, it was a big issue. I think it was because of him, losing him to addiction and alcoholism, that I wanted to play Bonnie. I wanted to play a character who was dealing with that, and not that would be, not that it would be honoring him, but if somehow I could help someone out there by playing a character who was going through it, and we put it out there, and someone felt better seeing what they were going through on TV and didn't feel so lonely, or felt like, gosh, it feels good to have my life being put up on television, having people, and not that they're enjoying it, but to see it represented in a good way. I wanted to do that. It also gave me the confidence to be in that world, because I was in it a lot.
It must also be kind of liberating for you as a performer to get to be someone who's in recovery and like trying to be in that sober space, but also gets to be kind of outrageous and fun and ridiculous and just like a happy next step version of that world.
Yes. Gratefully, Bonnie is, she's a bull in a
Not that she's got everything under control.
No, she does not. She is the most unlike me of almost any character I've ever played. And the things she says, I still sometimes I go, really? Is it okay that I say this? Seriously, you're gonna let me say this, Chuck? And the things that do make it through, there's some things that don't ever make it to the television program, but the things that do, I'm just like, all right, and that's what I do in front of the live audience. I'll say a line, I'll go, here it goes, and I say it, and the audience roars, and I'm like, okay, they like it, they buy it, they like as her being as outrageous as possible. And it's a lot of fun getting to have an excuse to be obnoxious.
Well, Allison Janney, I sure appreciate you taking the time to be on Bullseye. It was great to get to talk to you.
I really have enjoyed talking with you, Jesse. Thank you for having me on.
Every week we like to close the show with a recommendation from yours truly. It's the Outshot.